Alright guys, in today's video we are talking once again about the long-rumored upcoming PlayStation 5 reveal event. And the reason why we're taking more time to talk about it is because we have some more, in my opinion, relevant information to go over. And I told you guys I would keep you updated with everything regarding this because I know that just like myself, many of you are extremely excited for this and are eagerly anticipating it. And it really does seem like it is right around the corner. We're seeing more and more things kind of line up that point to this, even though Sony hasn't officially revealed or announced anything themselves yet. The first thing we're going to be talking about, and I think you guys are going to be pretty interested in this one, is we have somebody who seemingly is in the know or has a general idea or a good understanding of what Sony's launch lineup is going to look like, and they're claiming that it's going to be particularly big. It's going to be pretty big, which tells me that they're going to have a pretty good amount of stuff to show off during this reveal event. And I thought that this was important to highlight because it does seem like it's coming from a pretty reliable source, and it also makes a lot of sense to me. And I know that this is a concern that a lot of PlayStation fans have had is, you know, we've been building this up for so long. What if we end up disappointed, right? Like, what if the showing just isn't anywhere near our expectations? And it seems like that's not going to be the case, at least if this individual is to be believed. And the second thing we're talking about here is another individual who I don't know if they're as credible, but we have talked about them before on the channel. And so they put out an interesting tweet yesterday basically letting us know that Sony plans to announce something PlayStation 5 related during the course of this week. And within the next 7 to 10 days, 10 days after that, they will have their reveal event of some sort, some type of game showcase. So I want to highlight that as well. But before we go any further, if you could do me a big favor, make sure you hit the like button to support the content or just show your general excitement for the PlayStation 5 and this upcoming event. And make sure you hit the subscribe button as well so you don't miss any future content. But starting here with the rumored launch lineup, it says the PlayStation 5 launch lineup will be particularly big. It's been talked about for the past 2 years. It says the PlayStation 5 launch lineup alongside many other details has yet to be revealed in full, but rumors suggest it's going to be particularly big. During a recent live stream at Maximilian Dude, a well-known figure in the fighting games community, who has proved to be reliable in the past, talked about the PlayStation 5 launch lineup, saying that he has been hearing about it for 2 years now from industry contacts and that it's going to be big. Considering how Sony hasn't announced any major titles for a good while, this isn't too surprising, but it's definitely interesting to hear that the PlayStation 5 launch lineup has been a point of discussion among insiders for so long. Among the games that could be coming to the PlayStation 5 launch is the rumored Silent Hill soft reboot. The game is apparently being developed by Sony Japan Studios and is already in a playable state. And that's something we recently talked about here, and they're actually just going on in this article to list some of the details about it that, again, we already went over in a past video. But to me, this is pretty significant. This is coming from a source that does seem legitimate. It's coming from somebody who doesn't seem, at least based off of, you know, my understanding and how long I've been following this stuff, it's coming from somebody who doesn't normally talk about this type of stuff, but they actually do have a good idea of what's going on here. And I don't know. I know that I've talked about this. I talked about it in yesterday's podcast. I don't want us to get overly hyped, but it is very, very difficult to not do that when we're hearing from Maximilian Dude, somebody who, you know, has been proven to be reliable in the past, saying that based off of what he has heard, the contacts that he's spoken to, they're saying that this launch lineup is going to be pretty big. Now, the only thing that I have to question about this is when he says launch lineup, does he literally mean the games that are going to launch alongside the PlayStation 5 day one? Or is he talking about the games that Sony is going to reveal alongside the PlayStation 5? Because in that case, Sony probably has a lot more leeway where, you know, they could show maybe just a handful of games, maybe like 3 games that are going to launch alongside the PS5, and then all the other stuff they're going to show could be up to a year away, 2 years away, maybe even 3 years away, potentially, if they really want to push it. I don't know if that's what he's talking about, but either way, guys, like, this is really good news, and this does kind of back up something I have speculated myself, which is it seems that Sony has been quiet for a very long time when it comes to big game announcements. In fact, if you think about it, the past year and a half 2 years even, it seems like Sony's focus has really just been about, let's just focus on the games that we have in the pipeline currently for the PlayStation 4. We've also heard multiple rumors that there are multiple titles that are already in development at Sony. They've been in development for quite some time, but they've actually been moved over to the PlayStation 5, and they're not actually going to be PlayStation 4 titles. Some of these games are the Demon's Souls remake. Apparently that started as a PS4 title. I remember Colin Moriarty saying that he was anticipating an announcement for that game at any time, and it never happened, which led him to believe, and now we know from Bluepoint themselves, that it has been moved over to the PS5. I've been hearing that apparently there's a Ratchet and Clank game that's been in the works for quite some time now as well. That was originally planned for PS4, but Sony decided, we have so many games coming up, we have such a strong lineup for the PS4, let's move it over to the PS5. And we're also hearing that Horizon sequel, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, whatever you want to call it, same thing. They originally started development for the PS4, but they realized that, we're going to move this to the PS5. And I think that that's a smart move. And so there's probably more games that this has actually happened to that we're just not aware of. And while none of this is proven, I don't know, guys. It really is starting to seem like Sony is going to be going all out when it comes to the launch of the PS5. And one last thing I want to mention here before moving on to the next topic is another reason I do believe this, and this makes sense, is if you recall what Jim Ryan, he's the CEO of PlayStation, he's actually been promoted recently, I don't know to what position, but an even higher up position within Sony, but he's in charge of everything over there basically when it comes to PlayStation. If you recall, sometime last year, he was basically saying that their goal over there, like what they're hoping to achieve with the transition to the PS4 to the PS5 is to get players and get gamers to transition at a rate that we've never seen before, basically as fast as they possibly can. Now, I don't know how realistic that's going to be or how possible it's going to be if they do in fact end up having a limited supply of PlayStation 5s within the first, 6 months at launch, right? Like that could end up hindering their plan a little bit. But when it comes to game development, when it comes to the way they're going to be able to make that happen, it makes 100% perfect sense, right? That you're going to do that by showing people a lot of really awesome games. Not just one, not just two, but a lot. And not only games that are going to be coming out within the first year, but games that are going to be coming out in the future as well. In my opinion, that's the best way to get people like myself and many other millions of people to be like, okay, you sold me, I'm buying a PS5 now. So there you go. I just wanted to make sure to relay this information to you guys because to me, this is one of the more significant pieces of news we got. I mean, I don't know how reliable Maximilian Dude is. I don't really follow him, and I've never really seen his name pop up when it comes to these types of conversations. But it seems like he is reliable, and people do look at him as a pretty credible source, and this is what he's saying he's been hearing, and it's been for a while now, too. So this is something that Sony apparently has been planning for quite some time. So there you go. Very exciting. Now, we're going to end this video by highlighting something that Twitter user Tidix said. Now, look, I know that there's a lot of people who get on me anytime I mention Tidix, and they get frustrated because they're like, he's not an insider, but look, I'm not relaying this information to you as if this is inside information because I don't know. What he could be saying could just be an educated guess or made up. I mean, in fact, the reason why I feel encouraged to actually share this is because I feel that this is exactly what's going to go down. I've been thinking this for a couple weeks now. And he says, heard from quite a few people that PlayStation are planning an announcement next week related to the PS5, and an event will follow within the next 7 to 10 days after that. He also goes on to say, and people are looking at this as he's just trying to cover himself in case he ends up being wrong, but he says that PlayStation and Sony, they've been in a state where they will literally change stuff at the last second if they have to, due to everything that's going on in the world right now. And I believe that. I don't think that's him just covering himself. I think that that's actually true. I think we've literally seen that for ourselves. But to me, this is something I've also been anticipating. Once I started to kind of really get a good idea in my head of like, okay, it really is starting to seem like Sony is planning to have their big thing in early June, within the first week or two of June. I started to think, well, we're really, really close to that. And I started to think, well, when would Sony realistically want to announce it? And they want to get out ahead of it. Like, they want to build up hype for this. More than anything else, they want to build up hype. So I honestly thought to myself, like, this week this week is going to be a big week because I have a feeling Sony's going to say something. And even if Sony themselves doesn't say something very soon, something, in my opinion, will leak out that will be pretty much irrefutable. And, you know, because we are getting closer, it just seems like we're hearing more and more people talk about it. And to me, that just tells me, again, where there's smoke, there's fire. And the fire right now seems to be raging. And it's just a matter of a couple weeks now, just maybe like a week and a half until we actually see it. So that's what I wanted to take time to talk about in this video, guys. I hope you did find it informative. I hope you did enjoy it. Obviously, the number one thing I am most excited about, based off of what we talked about, is the fact that seemingly anybody who is in the know about what PlayStation has planned, they're saying that it's pretty big. Like, they have a lot to show, and that gets me extremely excited because I know that I've talked about it's not about the volume, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. But the fact that Sony has been quiet for so long, they've been working on it for so long, that tells me that we may end up seeing both. We could see a lot, and it's all going to be very high quality, and that sounds like the perfect combination in my opinion. So that does it for the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. Again, leave it a like if you did enjoy it or found it informative. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.